Well, the interesting thing about what our evaluations do is that they allow us to carefully rank people. And that's what they're set up to do, and that's what they want to discriminate between whether you're here and this person is a little above you or a little above. And I'm not so sure that we really need to do that. I don't think we need to do it for admissions to schools because they're perfectly capable of figuring out who they want, and it's not really our job. So there's no real need to do that. What there is a need to find out is who somebody is, what they are capable of, what they know, what their profile is. Are they a good thinker? Are they a good actor? Are they good at relating to people? And if there's particular skills or competencies that are needed for a particular job, do they have them? Or can they learn them? Even more importantly, can they learn them rather than do they have them? Because today they're always changing. So we probably do need another system of doing that.
Are we stuck in old ways with these evaluations?
We certainly, the place where this comes from, as far as what I've read about, is World War I. That we suddenly had this huge need to place people in the right places and figure out who they were and what they could do. And so we started this huge, big testing regime. And that stayed with us since that time and grown and is very institutionalized. And one of the reasons why it's hard to get rid of is because so many people depend on it. And in my country, it's even sad to see that some of the people, who were secretaries of education, where do they go to make their money when they finish? They go into the testing companies. So it's something that we're going through a phase here that I see, and when I say we, certainly in the United States, probably you in Canada to some extent, and in fact the world, of our last ditch at improving the old system. It's our last grasp. There are people who grew up in this system, as I did, as many of you did, and because we grew up in it, many of us think, okay, it worked for us, not a bad system, maybe. It doesn't work for the modern world. We're seeing it in the fact that kids leave school, or they come, or they look for other ways. But somehow we want to fix it. And politicians look for fixes because that's their job, especially quick fixes. And parents look for this, and parents will say things to me like, don't experiment with my kid. And I have to look at them, and we all should look at them and say, we better experiment with your kid because the old ways don't work. And we don't know what the new ways are yet. So if we don't experiment responsibly with your kid, we'll never know. So you should encourage us to be experimenting with your kid, in fact. And so I think that's going to change over probably not that long as people see, as that last gasp gives out, and unfortunately, it may have to happen. I am one of probably the few people in the world who heard Bill Gates speak when many, many years ago when Microsoft was a lot smaller and he was just starting out. And somebody asked him the question of, well, how are you going to get all these old people to learn to use computers if you want to make them go around the world? And his response at that time, he was not very PC. He said...
well, he was PC, but...
Well, he was PC, that's right. He was PC, but not PC. His response was, people die. And so, the march of demographics is inevitable, and you guys will be running the world and sitting in these chairs and doing all this stuff. And hopefully there won't be too many of us still left around to block your way because we're all living longer. But but here's another thing that hasn't happened. And this concerns me particularly. There are not good alternatives proposed. So it's easy to criticize, and we can all stand up there and say it doesn't work, it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But what else should we do? And so until we have some very clear, you could do this or you could do this, and look, that is, this other thing is working a lot better than what we used to do, we won't get very far. So that's why I'm writing a book on new curriculum. That's why I wrote a book on partnering, which is a new pedagogy. And maybe sometime I'll get around to thinking about new kinds of evaluation.